Hello everybody, Michael the Librarian of Magic here, finding and cataloging the magical and pointing you to it. Today is October the 23rd, and I have returned with another Disney villain, another Disney Halloween treat drawing for you today. The same disclaimers as always apply. You can check the first video in this series to find more details about that. Without any other delay, today's villain drawing. Stromboli from 1940s Pinocchio. He's a character that has always been somewhat interesting to me. He's very villainous. He's, got all of those really stereotypical villain traits. He's greedy. He is callous. He basically tells Pinocchio that he's gonna use him as his workhorse to make a whole bunch of money off of him, and then when nobody cares anymore about his puppet Pinocchio, he'll just chop him up and use him for firewood because he's made out of wood, but he's also a puppet that can do all the work for him, so he doesn't have to do puppeteering. In the novel, Carlo Collodi's novel, he's gruff, but the character of Stromboli also has a kindness to him that he doesn't have in the Disney film. In the Disney film, he's just out and out bad. In the book, though, he does give Pinocchio some money and tells him to make sure the money gets to Geppetto and all this, so he is kind of like working for Stromboli. But Stromboli is gruff and tough on Pinocchio in the novel. In the novel as well, and in the Italian versions of the film, Stromboli is referred to as Mangiafoco, which, if I'm saying that correctly, in an Italian dialect means fire eater. And the name Stromboli is also taken from the volcanic island in Italy. So it's just this implication that he will, erupt, pop off, have a hot temper, that sort of thing. He was animated by Vladimir Tytla, who is a Disney legend. He also animated Chernabog in Fantasia and a bunch of other stuff in that era. He was particularly good with villains, which is why he was given the assignment of Stromboli here. When they made Pinocchio, they filmed a bunch of people as live-action references for character models for all of these different characters. And the character model of Stromboli, the footage was done by a animator and director that they had at Walt Disney at the time named Thornton He, who is always credited as Tee-Hee because that was his actual name, Tee-Hee. And he was also an animator and director. He's pretty famous in Disney-wise for directing the Dance of the Hours segment in Fantasia himself. He just sort of worked during that era. He didn't have a long, storied career with Disney, but in the early days, he did quite a few things with them. And one of the things he ended up randomly doing was being the character model, the live-action character model for Stromboli. They gave him, this full-on gypsy costume from the costuming department there, and he acted out all the lines and stuff, and was able to use them. Or Vladimir Tytla was able to use them as reference. Stromboli here was voiced by Charles Udels, who was a Dutch-born actor. He had a long career. He was in over 137 films from 1915 and the silent era all the way up until almost the 50s. And he also had a lot of associations as an actor of the stage. He acted in many plays that he himself wrote. He was the stage manager for the Metropolitan Opera in New York for 35 years. And so he had a huge stage pedigree as well. He acted in vaudeville and all of that sort of stuff, as well as having a lengthy movie career. And he did the voiceover for this and did a great job with it. It's very highly memorable. He didn't do a ton of voiceover stuff in his career. He did a little bit with Disney and Warner Brothers, and I think maybe Fleischer, if I'm remembering correctly, but he definitely did this role. And in other tidbits that I learned about the character here, he is really, really rare as a Disney Parks meetable or walk-around character or anything like that. He has been shown a few times at Disneyland in Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party, but that's pretty much it. There is a shopping kiosk in Fantasyland at Disneyland called Stromboli's Wagon, where you can go buy trinkets. And also, he is featured in the Pinocchio's Daring Journey attraction at Disneyland. If you ride the ride, you can see him in there. And he's featured a little bit in some of the other parks around the world, like Tokyo Disney, but again, he's pretty rare. A couple of other tidbits before I, wrap up about Stromboli. AFI, the American Film Institute, put out a list a couple of years back of the 100 greatest heroes and villains in film, and Stromboli was nominated to be on that list. They nominated over 400 characters, 200 heroes and 200 villains, to wheedle them down to a list of 100, 50 of each. And there were 6 Disney villains that were nominated to be on that list. 3 made the cut. Stromboli did not, but Stromboli was one of the 6 that was nominated. The 6 nominees were Ursula, Lady Tremaine, Cruella de Vil, Man from Bambi, and Queen Grimhilda, or the Evil Queen from Snow White, and Stromboli. The ones that actually made the final list, the final 100, or final 50 really, as there were 50 villains, were the Queen from Snow White, Man from Bambi, and Cruella de Vil. Lady Tremaine, Ursula, and Stromboli did not make the cut. But of all of the Disney villains to be nominated for such a list, it's interesting that Stromboli made it there. And then another great little tidbit that I thought I would share that I ended up reading about is longtime Mario video game designer Yoichi Kotabe, who was one of the people who's just worked on Mario for a long time, did say in an interview that the character of Wario, the evil counterpart of Mario, was partially inspired by Stromboli. And if I've done this drawing any justice, then you could probably see why he has some sort of some of the same characteristics as Wario. So I didn't know that, but that's a really cool connection that I'm, thought was an interesting thing to have learned. So that's really Stromboli here. He features in one of the segments of Pinocchio. I've said in one of the earlier videos, I think the Monstro video, that Pinocchio has sort of an interesting structure that almost feels like, 3 connected vignettes, and Stromboli is sort of featured in the first vignette. Pinocchio thinks he's going to become an actor, and he gets trapped and ensnared by Stromboli to become his puppet, and that's when the very famous I've Got No Strings song number comes in to play when he is working for Stromboli. So that's Stromboli. He was fun to draw. I think I did okay. It's not perfect. He has some shapes that were a little difficult for me, but I think it came out pretty well. This is based on a still directly from the movie, so if I did Vladimir Titla any justice, then it looks like Stromboli, and if it doesn't, then it's my fault and not his. So that's Stromboli. It was fun to share all that stuff, and I learned a lot about this particular character that I didn't know before, and I hope that you did too. Thanks as always for joining me on these. Thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing. If you have any sort of things you want to add about Stromboli or any of these characters, then let me know down below. Feel free to follow me for the rest of October, when I'll be back with more Halloween treats and Halloween drawings all the way until the end of the month. And I'll have another one for you tomorrow. So until then, take care. I hope you're having a great day, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.